Welcome to Sports, Wheels, and Reels with Jeff Miller and Austin Horton. One show, two guys, three topics, unlimited possibilities. Presented by Mark Miller Subaru. Engage with us on social media or email us at podcast@mmsubaru.com. And now, welcome your hosts, Jeff Miller and Austin Horton.
Episode 24 of Sports, Wheels, and Reels. I feel like I'm yelling. I apologize. Hey,
right,
how are you? Am I?
Is that ringing in your head?
It's from the UFC fights last week in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, right. That was pretty cool.
I didn't see it.
I think it's pretty cool. I don't really watch UFC, but I think it's pretty cool that they would bring that to Salt Lake.
It is. We have a lot of UFC community here.
Yeah.
And Dana White said it's coming back. It went so well, so good.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm better. I wasn't
Coming back
good.
from being sick.
Oh, my gosh. I'm
Little
so
kids
tired.
get you sick. That's what they do.
So sick of being sick. July, COVID.
You should just wear a mask everywhere you go.
August, cold, or head flu, or whatever this was. It felt worse than COVID felt. It was terrible. But when you have a little girl's birthday party,
And that'll do it.
it's just like inviting. I was about to make a really in poor taste joke about live animal markets into your house and things like that. So we'll leave
Hold
that
back
be.
on that
Yeah,
one.
we'll hold off. All right.
We'll hold off on that.
He's Jeff. I'm Austin. Before we get canceled, let's tell you what's coming up on today's show. In sports, we're going to talk about the Jazz. We're going to talk about the future of pro sports here in Utah related to the Jazz. College football is a knocking at the door.
And talk about specific injuries.
And specific little tiny foot injuries that ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
Then in Wheels, got some cool pictures of a new car we're rolling out this weekend. Talk to you about what Tony Hawk has going on this week. And in Reels, going a couple streaming options for you. Which is kind of the way movies are going these days. We'll talk about it all and more next on Sports, Wheels, and Reels.
My name is Cindy Savage. I'm a Jackie of all trades with a busy life, and my Subaru is my Swiss Army knife.
I have a daughter, Kendall, and two dogs. We love to do anything outdoors, love going to concerts, just spending time with one another. I really appreciated the Mark Miller Subaru Promise Price experience, hassle-free. It made the buying experience really enjoyable. Subaru is a brand I trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is a local Utah retailer that I love.
Sports.
Jeffrey, we have a trade
We have a trade.
to talk about.
But not him.
Not that guy yet.
Still no X on Donovan.
It pains me every time we see that X on
I know.
Rudy.
I hate the Rudy X, too.
Did you see he still did a Rudy's Kids thing this last week in Utah?
Here's the trade.
So Talon or Talon? Talon, Horton Tucker, no relation.
And Stanley Johnson.
And Stanley Johnson, who
Horton Tucker was a second
I had
round.
no idea was still an NBA player.
Yeah, he was a sixth pick in the draft.
Stanley?
Yeah.
That was wasn't he
6
to
years
Minnesota?
ago? To Detroit.
It was the year Minnesota took like 9 point guards, I think. I can't remember. But anyway. Stanley Johnson, who changed his Twitter pic after the trade to Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
So, whatever. But Talon Horton Tucker shoots a lot, makes a little, but is a wing.
The difference on it, he's
player.
a long wing player,
Yeah.
and he's not a 3-and-D guy, which is what the Lakers were trying to use him as last year. He's a scorer. So you take Donovan off the roster and give him the ball, maybe he does something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he'll help us lose.
Maybe so. And that might be the plan. Now, every time I see a trade involving the Jazz, which has been twice now this year, I kind of go, well, we'll see.
Yeah, what's next? Obviously, if they're trading away Beverly, it's like that's got to be the start of something, right? But Beverly really wasn't. You never really expected Beverly to play in Utah.
I did not.
don't
He
think
even
anyone-
himself was like, oh, I don't think I'll be here.
Yeah,
or
maybe
whatever.
I'll be in Utah.
Yeah.
Who knows? But you never expected
How
that.
about him and Russell Westbrook currently
Oh my
teammates?
God, there's no way. There's no possible way that works. Westbrook is gone before training camp.
Do you know, I saw a lot of funny GIFs and memes about it. the best I saw. Did you ever see The Year Without a Santa Claus, the little claymation? Oh well, there's a there's the Jack Frost, and then his brother is the summer version of and they hate each other, and they're just constantly and it was Russell Westbrook and
oh yeah, there's no way that ever
Beverley.
happens. So my hope is that the Jazz don't make a trade for Westbrook just to dump him, just to dump salary and.
It could happen,
tank.
man.
I mean, that is not crazy. It might happen, but I hope it doesn't happen.
Now, so Kevin Durant staying with Brooklyn.
Which should start these trades happening. And we talked about a couple weeks ago the idea that, what is it, August 28th or something like that is the day that the Jazz can trade these other players in aggregate?
Yes, it was a 60-day
yeah, so they're able
countdown.
to trade Beverly because he was traded by himself.
That's right.
If you want to aggregate the guys together or aggregate them with another player, you have to do it.
That's right.
Right. So they couldn't have traded Beverly and someone else on our roster. They had to be him solo.
Correct. Yeah.
So
and so now that Durant stays put, maybe things start falling into place. There are a bevy of Jazz players that I still don't think will be here in 2 weeks.
Conley, Bogdanovich,
Conley, Bogo,
Clarkson.
Donovan, obviously.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see them get rid of everybody, but keep Clarkson and just give him the ball and let him shoot 40 times a night.
but the problem with that is, Jeff, that he might score.
He might make them.
And they might win. That would be terrible. Because
I love Clarkson.
they're all in on this idea of starting from the bottom, then they'll get there.
I don't.
It's still somewhat of a phrase.
I mean, if you could convince Donovan to stay here long term, but you got 3 years too. But the idea is, so in 3 years, if you could try and build around Donovan a little bit and build something special in 2 or 3 years, maybe you convince him to stay. You never know.
Man, I
It's a big
admire your
risk.
optimism.
It's a big risk, but I get it.
He's gone.
But speaking of the Jazz, so new partner. They got the Larry Miller's group, sold another 10% of their 20, so now they're only 10% partners. To what? Arctos?
A global-wide sport conglomerate.
And they've changed
Really
the
big in
rules
the
now,
soccer world.
where they are allowed to own 5 teams in each league.
That's right.
Is their rule. So
Yeah.
they can own a minority share in 5 different teams in each league, which brings up the speculation of them trying to bring another sports franchise to Utah. So you're talking not football. NFL's not ever coming to Utah.
You don't think?
Take a long time. Utah can't support on Sundays.
Oh, I think they would.
You think that Utah could sell out a stadium every Sunday?
I do. 100% I do. Yeah. NFL is such a corporate.
But I mean, you're talking about minimum money for an NFL franchise is $4 or $5 billion.
To own, you mean? Yeah.
Or baseball, you could probably get for 1 or 2.
Yes.
So baseball is doable.
And there's
Hockey,
so
you
many
could probably get
games
for
that
a couple
it
hundred
doesn't
million.
matter if you sell it out or not. And, yeah. Hockey, a couple million. Yeah. Jeff's on the list of people that can own a hockey team.
I would love to see baseball. That's my opinion. I would love to see a baseball team.
I think our market is most primed for baseball or hockey.
Yeah.
But I do think NFL would succeed. It's a matter more of ownership.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you have a problem is interested ownership in an NFL team here.
Yeah.
I think there'd be seats or butts in the seats. I wonder about ownership interests, and you could see baseball. You could definitely see hockey.
Definitely. The two baseball teams you're talking about Oakland or the Angels right now. Or
Suddenly the Angels went up for sale hours after this announcement.
So they picked that up, bring the Angels. The idea would be to build a stadium in Draper, is what the rumor is.
Oh, is it?
In a new point, or the new city they're building out there where the prison was.
That's not a bad idea.
Got plenty of land there. You can build a whole community around it.
The Los Angeles Angels of Draper. I like it.
Probably the Salt Lake Angels.
Well, no, they'll hold on to L.A. because they have the market in L.A. As an Angels fan, I've been through
you're
this
an Angels
pain
fan.
my whole life.
Having 2 of the best players in baseball and still sucking.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, how does that happen?
Unbelievable.
You have 2 of the best players in baseball for the last few years, and you still suck.
It's unbelievable. And not only the last 2 years, maybe of all time.
Yeah, Trout.
Trout, now that he's got this back injury,
Ohtani?
maybe not, but Otani is certainly
Oh my
a
gosh.
generational talent. He
Totally.
does it all.
So-
And they lose.
Stay tuned. We'll see.
And Tampa Bay is always wanting to move.
Yeah.
So maybe
And
you
they're
got
talking
the
about
Salt
there's
Lake
30
Rays.
there's 30 teams in baseball right now. They're talking about it makes more sense for them to have 32 than 30. Here's the way divisions break up.
And Vegas and Portland have always been wanting a team as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this all
how it
breaks
goes.
down. All right, Chet Holmgren.
We're going to learn about Liz Frank ligaments today.
Liz Frank. Do you remember the late, great Dr. Russ Toronto, a long-time Salt Lake orthopedic surgeon here in the Valley, and he passed away a few years ago. But he would be on the radio with us from time to time and talking about sports injuries. And I remember a few times talking about Liz Frank, and mostly because the Utah Utes linebacker Gianni Paul, who came here from Miami and was all this kinds of great talent. And in my opinion, whenever we have this discussion of players who had injuries cut them short, I think of two local college football guys. I think of Jordan Pendleton, and I think of Gianni Paul. They would have been incredible NFL players. And Gianni Paul's specific injury was Liz Frank. It's really bad for, this is what Russ Toronto would say, it's bad for anybody. Anyone in any walk of life, your quality of life can downgrade from 17 to 50% forever.
Because it's not even a pressure injury. It's an all-the-time pain injury.
Yeah, so it's in the middle of the arch of the foot.
You can see right here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's in the middle of the arch, Liz Frank, right here, kind of hidden. And it can be either a bone, ligament, or both. There's not really any true surgery to patch it back together. You can remove bad stuff that's in there, but you have to allow time to do its thing.
You said 9 to 18 months?
Between 9 and 18 months.
No pressure on it, nothing.
Zero weight. So you're a lot of water.
So Holmgren's probably 2 seasons.
Chet Holmgren, and the problem also with this is you imagine Chet Holmgren, who he doesn't weigh much of anything, but he's huge.
7'1", 190 pounds. He weighs the same as I do and has another foot on me.
That's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
How much pressure is on this little tiny thing in his arch. And now not only will he never walk the same again, Jeff, but how is he going to play basketball for 20 years?
Pushing around 250-pound big men.
Exactly.
Right? He was already struggling with that.
And the play this happened on was against LeBron.
Yeah, he's in a pro-am, and he just came down on it weird. And
God bless him, and I wish him all the luck in the world.
Hopefully they figure it out.
But this is exactly why I would never have drafted him. And that's when he was drafted, I said, I hope he never has a foot injury. And I cursed him. I'm sorry. So there you go, Liz Frank. All right. And then
starting next week.
College football. Technically, we got week 0 action this week.
That's really bad games. There's not anything of any value.
Is Alabama playing Citadel this week or next week? I can't remember. But there is week 0, as they call it.
Alabama's awesome starting schedules.
Did you know Nick Saban is like 102?
He just got a new contract.
He's like 78 years old. That guy, give it up, man. Let someone else have a shot at it. All right. Anyway, excited for the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. Excited for Weber
Pittsburgh,
State.
West Virginia. That's an okay game.
That's the backyard brawl.
Oh, that's next week, though.
Yeah, that's next week. That's week 1.
There's no top 25.
It's mostly...
There are no top 25 games this week.
No.
Alabama opens next week against our Utah State Aggies.
Oh, I thought they played Citadel before then. Anyway, yeah. So Utah State plays...
at Alabama.
Doesn't Utah State play this weekend?
What do you think the spread is on that game?
Actually, I just saw Scott Gerard tweet about this. Utah State is favored by like 20-something in their first game and is an underdog by 30-something in their second game.
No, Utah State. Because Utah State does open this weekend, so they open Saturday against UConn. They're 25-point favorites. Then they travel to Alabama.
And they're 30-something point dogs.
39-point underdogs.
And it has to be one of the biggest swings in all. Don't parlay the Aggies is what we're telling you.
You can get really good money if you play the Utah State on the money line.
You could, yeah. Yeah.
It's not going to happen, though.
Utah State should play their third-string guys so that they get injured.
Yeah, just don't get hurt.
All right, so BYU, Utah State, things are getting started. Utah and BYU getting all kinds of preseason poll love.
And both of us open in Florida.
Utah opens at the Swamp. Did you see the player for Florida running his mouth?
Yeah, you don't do that to Kyle Whittingham, man.
You
don't give him bulletin board material.
I would love to be up at the facilities this week to see how many times that clip is running on a loop.
Oh, I'm sure they just have it on all the video screens in the gym and everything, just running all day.
So a Florida player said they're sick and tired of hearing of Utah, and they're coming to the swamp at night, and it's not going to be close.
This thing will be over before some music starts or something like that.
It's fun. It's fun stuff. I like it. I'm excited to see what the Utes can hold to the candle of their hype.
Only 2.5 point favorites.
Who's that?
Utah.
They're the favorite?
Utah's favorite, too.
Wow, good for them.
Florida's not ranked.
Yeah, it's still Florida. I agree with
Florida in the swamp.
I agree with that part of the kid's sentiment, but
BYU plays in Florida too. BYU plays South Florida to open.
South Florida, who has beat BYU recently, so exciting times. And I love college football. I think it is the best.
There's some great games
of the spectator sports.
The other game you got that's a great game. It's going to be the same time as the Utah game. You're going to be flipping channels back and forth. Is Notre Dame Ohio State?
Oh, okay.
It's a cool opener too.
Yeah, that's fun. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, one last thing in sports. Skating's a sport.
Skating is a sport. Grandma.
Tony Hawk is bringing his Vert Alert back to Salt Lake this weekend. So it's at Utah State Fair Park. Free.
It's free.
Oh, yeah, free. Free tickets.
Utah Sports Commission.
So it starts today. It actually starts right now, I think. So
wow.
I think the gates are open as we speak and goes through Saturday too. But it should be pretty fun. Tony Hawk's going to be there. Bucky Lasek. A bunch of other famous
all the guys
skaters.
you know from the video game.
I was showing you before this, that Tony Hawk actually broke his femur in March. And this is his first appearance back on a skateboard since then.
Wow.
And he snapped his femur in two.
That's
like he didn't we're not talking like a hairline fracture. Like the X-ray has the bones, like it popped over and then went up.
And for a guy at 81 years old,
54.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. 54 is what Tony Hawk is.
I love his Twitter because it's all about people thinking, "Hey, aren't you Tony Hawk?" And he's like, "No,
it's just messing with people."
So go check that out. It's free. Take the kids. Have a good time.
Yeah.
All right, coming up in Wheels, we're selling our first special edition Crosstrek this weekend.
Yeah.
Excited about that. We'll show you some pictures, give you some details. We'll also talk to you about a recall for all you Impreza owners out there, and our Love Promise Spotlight of the Week up next.
My name is Sierra Hudson. My Subaru is safety for my family. So this past winter, we hit a black ice and we just started to slide. And it was just one of those moments where you truly feel helpless. I know it's a car, but it means so much more to us and our family. Subaru is one of the safest brands, and I've personally lived that. Subaru is a brand you can trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the local Utah retailer that you will love.
Wheels, Jeff. Our most popular segment among the people that work here on the show each week. Wheels. Wheels.
And I didn't listen to your email, and I didn't take the pictures you spent
I was
all
like,
that time
before the
going
show, I was like,
all that time you went out back.
Hey, I'll be right back.
I'm
I'm going to take pictures of this car. I'll email it to you. And Jeff's like,
didn't
cool.
even put them on the screen. So instead, you get a nice Subaru
stock
shot
photos.
of the stock photo of the new Crosstrek Special Edition. We do have an actual one of these, though, on the lot in the back that will sell today.
We have two. One is selling tomorrow, and the other one I think is coming Monday.
Are you selling it?
I am.
Well done.
Yeah, me and Steve Page are our tag team in that one. So it is a premium Crosstrek with a sport look to it and the desert khaki exterior.
With the black wheels and the desert khaki, it's nice looking.
It is. Do you have a picture of the seats?
I do.
That's my favorite part. This so you can't really see it in this picture. The picture I took, you could see
much better. I'm looking
crystal clear. Crystal. And you remember like episode 1 or 2 where they got all over my ass about how terrible I was at taking pictures of my car. So I took great care to frame it and center it and didn't even use it. So
my bad. We'll post. You know what? We'll post it on the Twitter feed for you.
Don't patronize me.
We're gonna post your pictures.
We'll put it on Facebook where everyone's grandma can see it. Okay. This middle part, though,
I'll
is
even
red.
retweet your photos to my own Twitter account that no one goes to anyway.
Okay. Check MySpace later today. It's on there with my song, my Everclear song. All right.
It's gonna be a cool car, though.
It is. It's exciting.
It is a nice looking car. The interior looks cool on it. Special design package.
Yes. My only gripe with it is no blind spot detection. Wish they would have that in there, but it's still really, really cool. If you want that desert khaki look, color, that's the only one that it comes in. So make sure you get it done. And they're only releasing a certain number of them.
Yeah, it's not a big build for sure.
So there you go. All right. Recall.
Headlight recall. We don't have parts, so don't come into it.
Yeah, please.
Just like all recalls that we talk about, call us first
Yeah.
or call your store first on any brand you have. Make sure they have the part before you show up.
I just had a customer buy a used Impreza from me 2-3 weeks ago, and whenever we sell a used car, we show that there are no open recalls.
What year was it?
It was a 2017.
Okay.
So it's in this, and it just got
This is 17 and 19, right?
16 through 19.
16 and 19. All Impreza. Basically, we're going to replace everyone's headlights.
Yes, and
And-
there was a news report about how Subaru had petitioned the NHTSA to say this was, I forget the word they used, kind of like not a non-important, like it's not.
Like, we're
really
going to do it, but it's not going to kill you.
Yes, exactly,
Like,
and that's the truth.
Yeah.
But the government was like, you still have to do it, and Subaru was
So
like,
the
of course
Subaru's
we
working
will.
on getting parts stuff lined up, and my guess is you're going to get announcements to come October.
But you can still drive your vehicle. It's not one of these ticking time bomb recalls.
Nope.
You can still drive it
It's still
around and be
drivable.
fine. If the headlight fails, switch the bulb. You'll be all right. It's more the assembly, not the bulb itself. All right. Love Promise Partner of the Week.
Subaru loves learning. Farnsworth Elementary.
Farnsworth Elementary. Where is Farnsworth Elementary? Salt Lake somewhere.
West Valley.
West Valley. Thank you. And the Jazz Bear
Yeah, look at this.
helped us out a little
did
bit.
a little event yesterday with the Jazz Bear there. Met some kids, signed some autographs.
Purple is back. If you're the
Purple
Jazz
is
Bear.
back.
Not if you're at the team store, though.
There's not a lot of purple at the team store. We need to work
Lots
on
of hurt your eyes yellow. Yeah, Jazz Bear. And we've been running campaigns to have school supplies donated and leave notes for your favorite teacher.
adopted a bunch of classrooms there. We have also another thing we're going to be doing there that we're going to do for another year in a row. My dad's spearheading this is our tutoring. So we have a tutoring program that we've set up the last few years where a lot of our employees have done it, and I think we had 60 or 70 volunteers last year on
Wow.
it, where basically you spend 2 days a week for 45 minutes tutoring a kid online. And you go through, it's called iReady, it's an online math program, and just help the kids go through math to try and get them up to grade level. They did a University of Utah study on it while we did it last year. The idea is to see what the effectiveness was. And the kids that were run with a tutor online with them, running it through, it was like 35% of the kids got back up to grade level within the year.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's amazing. So this year they're actually going to move it. Last year we did third grade. This year we're going to move it to kindergarten.
Okay.
So for those of you worried about tutoring, you should be able to do kindergarten math, I hope. But we'll put some announcements on our Twitter feed and things like that. If you're interested in volunteering and being a tutor for that, we're looking for volunteers for sure. So we'll have a site set up hopefully by early next week, and you can volunteer and be a tutor for some kids. It's generally 45 minutes a week, 2 days a week. It's really easy. You can do it from anywhere.
That's awesome.
I'd say you can do it in your underwear, but put clothes on.
Oh, yeah. We're
These are
doing-
kids.
Jeff, geez. What are you, Chris Hansen?
You can do it from home.
We're not setting up a sting operation here with our tutoring opportunities.
But very cool. We'll put the announcement on our Twitter feed sometime early next week.
All right, and along those lines, I asked people on Twitter to give a shout out to their favorite teachers,
All right, let's hear them.
and also to grade in the spirit of back to school, grade the Utah Jazz so far
Okay.
this off season. Mark gives a shout out to his wife, works in Davis School District. He says he'd give the Jazz an incomplete. Lee says an F. Hold them all back a year. All the teachers in the Salt Lake District that have put up with the crap going on there the last 10 years of a horrible administration.
That's true.
Lee.
But how do you give them an F? Like, that Gobert trade alone is worth a B.
Well, if you're a big Gobert fan.
Yeah, if you're sad about losing Gobert, I get that. But at this point now, you've got 11 players for him.
Ben says Robbie Duncan, an English teacher that deserves a hearty shout out. Sup, Duncan, teacher Duncan. I don't know if Robbie is a Mrs., Ms., or Mr. So Robbie Duncan. Can't grade a paper until the test is complete, although I'm looking at their test page and it looks like they've written their name and the date.
That was pretty good.
Brett says, my wife is a teacher, Miss Hine. Bank account is in the red after paying for everything needed to teach this year. Every August and May are crazy. James Hansen, the Gobert trade was an A+, but it's mostly an incomplete for me at this point. I'd give them a tentative A with the assumption they're still in the process of tearing it down for a rebuild. Two more. Bentley, my wife Amy Mitchell, she's a teacher, definitely deserves a shout out at Mohea Mitchell. And I give it an incomplete grade. And then Taxman with one letter reply.
What was it?
F.
F. Oh, these people suck.
Shout out to all the teachers out there. By the way, you can still come in as a teacher, as an educator, and be part of our Community Heroes Promise Price Incentive. You can get a brand new Subaru for $500 over invoice.
Yes, you can.
Really, really cool thing that Jeff has authorized us to do. And come on in while it lasts. That sounded really car salesmanish.
That Gobert trade is definitely an A+. At this point,
No,
they've gotten 10.
No.
So there's 10 players now they've gotten.
Great. And what are they going to do with them?
They're going to tank.
For what? Frank Wembanyama.
I'm just kidding.
Who's then going to break his Liz Frank bone ligament like Chet Holmgren.
I don't like.
Sell the team to Seattle.
I don't like the idea of tanking. Like I like the idea of trying to build around Donovan and see what happens, but we'll see what happens.
All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up this week's edition of the show with some movies. Stay tuned.
My name's Jamie Usry, and my Subaru is Freedom. I've had so many animals over the years. One of the things that I love about Mark Miller Subaru is they're the largest animal welfare supporter in the Salt Lake Valley. You may not even realize it, but they're probably supporting a nonprofit that you love in the community. And my wife and I, our daughter Harper, and our dogs, we're just so happy that we picked Mark Miller Subaru. Subaru is a brand that I trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the local retailer that I love.
Time for Reels.
Reels.
Did you see the Manti Te'o
I started it.
documentary?
It's very sad.
The Untold, I think is the name of it.
The girlfriend who didn't exist.
This was one of the craziest
Just crazy.
stories ever, let alone in sports.
For a guy like that to get catfished like that is just crazy.
And it changed the
career.
world. It changed him, but I think it changed the world, the online world,
Totally.
where you no longer can just trust everyone and everything.
Yeah,
You're familiar with the story by now.
His family involved, like it's crazy.
This guy that pretended to be, made up a whole other person online. Manti and this person were engaged in a long distance over the internet relationship, so far to where they were saying, I love you, and his grandma dies, and then this girl dies of cancer within a couple weeks of that. He's a Heisman candidate. The whole country is rallying around him. How is he doing this? How is he dealing with this? Turns out that person never existed. The saddest part of this whole thing for me, Jeff, was how much hate Manti got.
Totally.
The media, which, first of all, this should never be anyone's business, whatever it is, but, is he gay and too afraid to say he's gay?
Oh, totally. They've got so
and
many
so he's
crazy
made this
different
up.
things.
Or just all kinds of things. Like he was in this, in on this so that he could get more hype, so he could win the Heisman. And it's terrible.
Oh, it's just horrible.
And his life was almost ruined. But his parents and he deserve so much credit because in this documentary, there is some resolve that happens. And Renaya Tuiasosopo, who goes by Ronnie now, Tuiasosopo, who has transitioned now as a female, who deserves peace, even though what they did was heinous, gets some peace and love and forgiveness from the Te'o family. But it's a must watch.
He only ended up playing one season in the NFL. No, he played more.
He's still there.
He's still in the NFL, right? So
yeah,
he's still in New Orleans.
So
he played
he was with the Chargers originally.
7 seasons in the NFL.
Yeah, so he's doing all right.
No, he's not in the NFL anymore. 19 was his last year.
Oh, okay.
So he's out of the
I
league.
thought he was still around, but oh yeah, they talk about that in the show. I forgot.
Ended up being a second-round pick for San Diego.
But just a better person than I'll ever be, because I don't know that I could. In fact, I know I would never offer forgiveness for something like that.
But watch the story. It's on Netflix.
it taught me a lot about raising kids in this day and age and how to try to keep them offline as long as you can.
Okay, what about yesterday?
Now, this is just a throwback. One of the best movies I think made in the last 5 years. Or it might be longer than that now. Made in the last 10 years, we'll say. This is about a guy who wakes up one day. He's a teacher, but he's not really wanting to be a teacher. He wants to be a musician. And he wakes up one day and he's the only person in the world that remembers the Beatles.
Okay.
No one else has ever heard of the Beatles. They give him a birthday present of a guitar. They say, play us something. He plays the song Yesterday. People are crying. They're like, where did that come from? He's like, what are you talking about? The Beatles or whatever. They're like, so then he gets sucked into this thing of rewriting from memory because he can't find it online or anything. All the songs by the Beatles, becoming this mega star. And then what happens is he has to decide, do I continue? There are 4 other people in the world who also remember the Beatles. And they keep showing up in his life.
I've tried to tell him he's a fraud.
And so it's really interesting.
I want to see that movie.
And it didn't get the love it deserves. It's like 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'd give it a 90%. Wow. It's amazing.
Okay.
And a former past, now deceased member of the Beatles, you get to see what this certain member of the Beatles' life would have turned out to be according to this movie.
Okay.
Had the Beatles never existed.
Interesting.
Really, really cool. And then you had one for us.
You don't like Game of Thrones.
No.
Never been a fan, but this is awesome. This is the new.
I like Game of Zones.
This is the new Game of Thrones called House of the Dragon. So it's a prequel to Game of Thrones. So it occurs 200 years prior to the Game of Thrones story. But it premiered last week. First
so it's
episode.
No one in that was in Game
no
of
same
Thrones.
episode. Nobody in the. Yeah, there's no crossover.
Same writers?
Cast. Same writers.
Oh, so it'll be terrible.
It was everything but the last episode was amazing in Game of Thrones.
That's not true.
You're wrong. How many? Have you even seen it?
I've seen 3 episodes.
Of the 97 episodes?
Right. And the 3 I saw were pretty cool. But the online consensus is that the last season was trash.
The last episode of the last season was trash.
Well,
The rest of the last season wasn't bad.
well, if one episode's bad, the whole bunch is bad.
But that doesn't make the rest of the show bad.
Tell that to the
For the guy who's
to the
seen
rest of the
3
apples in the
episodes.
barrel that didn't do anything wrong. But there was one apple with a worm in it.
You're ridiculous. So recommend House of the Dragon.
Yes, dragons.
It is a very good show. The first episode was awesome. Next episode starts
know
again
I'm alone
every
on this.
Sunday. The only thing that I hate about this, and I was talking about this earlier, I hate that you have to wait.
Oh, is it not a binge
It's
thing?
not a binge thing. It's an every Sunday release thing.
It's on HBO? What's it
HBO
on?
Max.
Yeah.
So
I'm
you have
sure
to wait
it will
every
be,
Sunday for the next episode. 10 million people, first episode, first day watched.
Yeah, it'll be wildly
It's
popular.
killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it. All right.
All right.
Breaking.
This stars, I just lost his name.
John Boyega.
John Boyega, yeah. He looks just like Denzel, by the way, in this. Do you ever see the movie John Q?
Oh, yeah. I love John Q. That's a great
It's
movie.
kind of similar. This is a bank heist, but for a somewhat moral reason movie. And it's getting rave reviews. This is in theaters, only in theaters.
Only in theaters.
So if you're like me, you're old school, you like to go to the theater on the weekend, this is the choice this week. Go check it out. Let me know what you thought of it.
Speaking
when
of
you
only
see
in
it.
theaters, Top Gun went streaming this week, I think.
Oh, it did?
I think you can get Top Gun online now.
It was great. You should see it if you haven't.
It's the greatest movie. I want to watch it again. That's why I was excited.
While we were sick, we bought the Paw Patrol movie.
How was that?
I don't know. I slept.
Good.
Let my kids watch the Paw Patrol movie.
Was
while I
that good?
slept.
Was that engaging?
What's the Mayor Humperdinck or whatever was trying to ruin the world. I don't whatever.
All right, last one. Rogue One.
Rogue One re-released in theaters, the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. Rogue One. It's in my top 10 movies all time.
Wow.
Rogue One. It's really that well done.
Released in theaters too.
On IMAX.
Are you excited? You gone to it yet?
No, I haven't gone to it yet because I was in quarantine.
And put a full mask on yourself and take yourself.
I didn't come to work for 2 days. I couldn't very well go into
It would have
a
been
movie
very
theater.
bad if we would have seen you in a movie theater. After you called in sick on us.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so go see it while you can. Jeff, good show this week.
Good show. We'll see what happens. Will Donovan be traded by next week?
We'll see. We'll be a quarter of the way to 100 episodes next week.
We will be.
And 100 is the magic number for podcasts, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So
Did
we're
you
a
make it to
quarter of the
100?
way until someone notices we're doing this.
Did you see that Joe Rogan got knocked off the #1 spot on Spotify?
Oh, that's
this
a
week?
shame. Who knocked him off?
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
What's she doing?
She's doing a show about
How the British are racist?
no, it's like women's issues about women's stereotypes in workplaces and places like that. Her first episode had Serena Williams.
Oh, okay.
Knocked Joe Rogan off the top spot.
Oh, that's a shame. So
Couldn't
no
have
more
happened. Couldn't have happened to a nicer
no
guy.
more false scientists on the top spot. All right. See you next week.
See ya.
Episode 25. Oh, hey. Until next week. Utah by 5.
Trust me.
Love you, Tom.